And now, from the CFTK TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. Many people have been talking about the COVID-15, referring to gaining 15 pounds during quarantine. In a recent study, 39% of patients gained weight during the pandemic, with weight gain being defined as above normal fluctuation of 2.5 pounds. Shedding those extra pounds is our subject as we open our archives to bring you this story from 1989.
It's known as passive exercise using a series of vibrating machines. Sounds too good to be true, but according to those we spoke to, results are noticeable after only 8 sessions. The owner of the Future You Toning Salon has been following the program for about 5 months herself, and she says it definitely works.
I lost about 20 pounds and altogether 18 to 20 inches all over.
20 pounds, so you've gone down a couple of sizes.
I have my goals with it, yeah. I was size 11, between 11 and 13, and been down to 5 now.
In 4 months?
Mm-hmm.
Now, were you doing anything else to enhance the weight loss?
Yeah, I eat right.
Apart from eating sensibly, Dagmar says all you have to do is follow the program consistently a few times a week, and the inches will melt away. The system involves spending 7 minutes each on the 7 different machines.
That machine tightens your abdominal muscles, your thighs again, and there's various positions you can get on that machine that will do your waist, your thighs, and your tummy. And it's a 7-minute workout. Also, if you lie on it flat down, it's like having a swim for 7 minutes. And if you're lying flat down on it, it's like walking 2 miles.
In 7 minutes?
In 7 minutes.
Now this woman, she's reaching her hands over her legs in sitting up position. Now is that...
That's good for your tummy and also for your waist trim. The machine that Margaret is on, over on the one that's moving her hips and her thighs, that's for tightening your thighs, your hips, and your abdominal area. And you know, you're pulling your tummy in, and that really helps to tighten your muscles in your tummy.
So she has to do a little bit of work in terms of holding her stomach in?
Yes, and tighten her legs against the outside panels there.
Does it work more efficiently the more effort that the person makes?
Yes, it would.
So after another 7 minutes, Margaret is on to the next machine. Seems pretty easy so far.
It's a good workout on this one as well. It's good for your back. It also, like, she's holding the 2 top rails there, and that tightens your muscles along your arms as well as your tummy. And there are various positions that you could do on this machine as well to give your body a good workout, and it's really good for the back.
Now, as far as this particular woman is concerned, though, is she doing this for exercise, or is she trying to lose weight?
She's doing it as an exercise, and it does tone your body down. With the exercise Margaret is doing there, it's for the inner thigh and the outer thigh, as well as your tummy. And you get a really good workout. And also the 7-oil fluid in the ankles and in the knees works better and gives you a really good workout. It's good all the way around as an exercise as to what she's doing. If you got on the machine, you could really feel your ankles and your knees on this one.
Now, is she having to use any pressure at all?
A bit, yes. That's why she has to swing her knees out and press in with her ankles.
7 minutes more, and Margaret is on to machine number 5.
This machine that Margaret is on is good for all your torso, all the way up. You could feel the pull way up in your arms and abdominal, and it's really good for your waist. It gives you a good workout throughout the whole torso on this one, and it's good for the back area because it's so passive.
How does it actually trim? If it's so passive? I mean, it's like just a stretching exercise. It's like you're doing a stretching exercise if you're standing and you're doing a stretch exercise from bending from side to side, reaching way over. And if you're not able to do that, this machine does it for you.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thank you for staying with us. In passive range of motion exercises, the patient does not perform any movement themselves. Instead, the therapist moves the limb or body part around the stiff joint, gently stretching in the muscles and reminding them how to move correctly. Let us return to the archives to discover how machines can help with exercise.
This is the other position that we have, and that trims your hips. And you could be on this for 4 minutes on this side and then 4 minutes on the other side, and it gives you really good trim on your thighs and hips.
The last machine is the most passive of all and serves mainly to increase circulation and promote relaxation. Dagmar says the program is good for the heart and blood pressure and promotes a general sense of well-being. She says the machines were developed in Germany before the Second World War and were designed for therapeutic use. Today, there are 2 main reasons for the growing popularity of these machines. Naturally, to slim down, but for some, it's a form of exercise they can handle.
Well, I wasn't really worried about the weight. I just came for the exercise.
And so in the meantime, you...
Yes, and then my friends started asking me, well, what are you doing? And some of them came here, too, because they saw how I looked, and so they wanted to come, too.
Oh, your friends noticed the difference?
Yes, they did.
Margaret says she has more energy and seems to walk better after a 1-hour session.
I feel a lot better for it.
You feel better because you actually feel healthier?
Yes, I do.
Now, for you, this was an easy way to get some exercise?
Yes, it was.
Did you find that because you were inactive before?
Well, not really inactive, but I wasn't into exercising. It's my first time.
Is this nice because it doesn't tire you out?
Yes, I think so. I like it.
Some people will look at this and look at these machines and say, I don't believe that. There's no way that could work.
Oh, yes, it works. Believe me, it does. Yes, it works. I think so. I believe in it.
But not everyone is as enthusiastic about passive exercise. Bodybuilder Dick LaDouceur believes getting into shape requires some elbow grease.
I think in a gym you can watch your progress better. For instance, if you're using 30 pounds to do something, and a few weeks later now you're up to 40 pounds, you watch yourself progress. I feel on those machines, if you're in a lazy mood that day, you can have a lazy workout. Whereas in here, if all of a sudden you're not using that 40 pounds today because it seems heavy to you, that's telling you that, you know.
Do you watch a lot of people really slim down when they start weightlifting?
Oh, yeah.
Because they're toning their muscles?
Yeah. They are, yeah, definitely. Most people don't really lose, at first they don't lose a whole lot of weight, but they do lose inches. Actually sort of shift your weight around. Even though we're talking 2 different things, muscle and fat, one doesn't change to the other. That's another misconception. But you're being more energetic. Your body's burning off calories, which is, if you don't increase your food intake, it has to be coming off somewhere. So.
For some people, working out at a gym is not a viable alternative. Margaret found the passive method ideal for her needs.
When I leave here, I can seem to walk better, and I think it really helps.
Do you have any specific health problems that you kind of want to improve through the use of these machines?
Well, not really. I just wanted to try and get in shape.
Do you ever have people who say, I don't believe that this can work?
Oh yeah, we have, but we can show the people that it works, you know. Even if you measure the people in the first week, they see a little bit, you know. But actually, you need 14 days to see better result.
I don't think they're as good as exercise where you go out and do it, like pumping iron or, you know, working out in this fashion. But I think they're better at not doing anything at all.
So you see it as a much more mild form of getting exercise?
Yeah, it would take much longer for the results, definitely. That's no question about that.
However, Dagmar says she is the proof that passive exercise is effective. After some 5 months, she says she has actually lost too many inches, a problem most dieters wouldn't mind contending with. She also says she feels better, more energetic and healthier. Over on the other side of the exercise camp, Dick Ladouceur says it's hard to achieve the same kind of high that comes with a good workout. So you definitely feel, though, that for the majority of people, they should be involved in some more active form of exercise, and that they're not going to get as much out of lying on a machine.
That's right. I feel that this type of exercise is quite a bit better, faster results. You feel better. It's, again, it's psychological. If you come in and work out and use the weights or the equipment, you feel good. And I don't feel laying on whatever, let's say, a type of bed or something will ever give you that same high, that same feeling of accomplishment of having a good workout. But however, like I say, there is a necessity. There are people who that's their speed, and that's the way it should be.
Either way, there are always common sense rules that must be followed to achieve results. As both Dagmar and Dick point out, any fitness plan involves consistent participation along with a regular balanced diet. As for the best type of exercise, it depends on the individual's needs and interests. Passive exercise is certainly better than no exercise at all, and for some that may be enough of a challenge. As for the more vigorous, active forms of working out, the obvious benefits speak for themselves.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
From coast to coast to coast, we boast over 250 million hectares of productive forest lands that span 8 main forest regions and represent 10% of the Earth's forest. In this final segment of Open Connection, we discover how to ensure future generations can benefit from proper planning.
The Forest Resource Development Agreement says taking care of our valuable forests is a responsibility to be shared by the federal and provincial governments. The activities which fall under the agreement, known as FRDA, include surveying, site rehabilitation, seedling production, planting, intensive forest management, and silviculture research. The agreement has helped BC do some catching up on the backlog of non-satisfactorily restocked forest lands, or NSR. But when FRDA runs out next March, BC will still be left with a backlog of 500,000 hectares of non-productive forest lands. Critics charge mismanagement of the forestry resource is responsible for leaving us at a point which requires a massive infusion of tree planting money. Forest Minister Dave Parker has been stressing that we need a new deal, one that would take us to the end of the century. The future of a new FRDA deal was placed in doubt a few months ago with talk of federal budget cuts. But Parker stresses that the BC government is committed to a new deal and says Federal Forest Minister Frank Oberle will do his best to get Ottawa's support.
And we are looking for a longer-term agreement, and we would like to see it a standalone agreement where we can deliver to the people of British Columbia an enhanced annual allowable cut and an elimination of all NSR backlog.
Now you want something separate which will stand alone, as you say, not under Western diversification or under these other existing agreements. You'd like to see something that's going to be by itself so we don't touch it and don't get rid of it or be affected by other budgets or anything like that.
Yes, that's right. I'd like to see it, and so would Frank. I'd like to see the agreement funded out of our respective budgets, because the ministries understand that forestry is a long-term crop, and it takes a long-term commitment. And to leave it with one of the other government agencies or ministries who don't have the same understanding of forestry and silviculture was putting the entire program at risk.
To outline the importance of FRDA to the Northwest and to the rest of the province, Parker took a group of civic politicians and officials from Terrace and Kitimat out into the forest for a tour of what FRDA has done for the Calam Forest District. He also wanted them to know about his plans for a new agreement.
So we're trying now, in discussions with the federal government, for a 10-year replacement. We won't call it FRDA necessarily, but it's a 10-year replacement to take us to the end of this century, where we eliminate all NSR and we have a solid stand tending program.
Parker wants the local politicians to rally behind his efforts for a new deal with Ottawa. He says civic support is vital.
It means the difference between success and failure, usually. To have the support of the communities makes all the difference in the world, Sam. And we are grateful for the support that we've received from the communities in British Columbia.
FRDA looks good on paper, but many of us don't know what it all means until we venture out into the forest. From a distance, this field in the Kitimat Valley doesn't look like much, being overgrown with fireweed. But upon further inspection, looking low to the ground, we see that a new stand of timber is beginning to emerge. Funds from FRDA were used to rehabilitate this site. Calam Forest District silviculturist Kim Hayworth says 8,000 seedlings were planted in the 7-hectare site.
Well, this was logged back in '64, and we haven't done any treatments to it until 1987. It takes time to grow seedlings and whatnot. I had to treat the area with herbicide to ensure that the brush didn't take over the newly planted seedlings. And I would tend to think that probably we're looking at another 60 years from now before we'll get into the event or we'll be able to log it.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
From coast to coast to coast, we boast over 250 million hectares of productive forest lands that span 8 main forest regions and represent 10% of the Earth's forests. In this final segment of Open Connection, we discover how to ensure future generations can benefit from proper planning.
In the last 4 years, $1.5 million in FRDA funding has been spent in the Calam District. 1,900 hectares of land have been surveyed. 610 hectares have been planted for a total of 800,000 trees. Site rehabilitation has been done on 130 hectares, while 1,200 hectares have been brushed, weeded, and spaced. Some of the money has also gone into research directed toward finding an alternative method of rehabilitating brush sites. Calam Forest District officials stress the value of FRDA money being directed into the region.
Now, we've spent currently to date approximately $1.5 million in FRDA, and that's allowed us to catch up on a lot of these backlog NSR areas and get them to stocking. And these sites are basically our most productive, and we're gonna see some real positive results when it comes to timber volume production in another 30-40 years.
And Hayworth says there is no shortage of things the district could do with more FRDA money.
Especially if we want to really invest in our forests for the next 30 to 40 years. We've got a lot of areas that are coming. These stands are right now about 20 years of age. They're becoming prime candidate stands for spacing, brushing, fertilization, pruning, and all types of other stand activities, you know, that we could definitely get involved in if we had the funding.
When this area near Onion Lake was logged almost 20 years ago, the trees like this one were almost 500 years old. The new trees which are growing here won't be ready for another 60 years.
In 1971, this area was logged and burned, with replanting of hemlock taking place in 1972. Pruning and spacing has been going on this year to create a valuable stand of timber.
What we're trying to do here is promote clear wood without any knots, and that's the highest value wood we currently have to date. So, FRDA right now doesn't have any funding available for this type of intensive work, but in the next FRDA we'll be lobbying heavily to have this brought in as one of the intensive treatments.
Having more money would mean this overgrown, unspaced area could be brought up to better standards and a better quality of wood when the time comes to log these trees. Another area that could use more money is research into pests which plague our forests, pests such as the spruce leader weevil. The weevil, which is a beetle, attacks the top of spruce trees, killing the leader, stunting the tree's growth, and causing the trees to become too bushy.
The tree doesn't die. What it will do, the leader will die, a branch up close to the leader will try to take off and form the next leader, and what you end up with is a bushy tree that doesn't gain very much height over years. It kind of stays at a stationary height. Every time it gets hit, it loses 2 years, so it stays at a height, and you'll get a very bushy, limby tree that's virtually useless from a commercial point of view.
And research into pests takes a lot of time and money.
FIRDA would help, I guess, to contribute more money and to try to come up with new ideas or new ways of controlling this, and research it for any kind of parasitic fungus or any kind of other chemical that may be developed to repel it, or some kind of repellent, or, you know, along that line anyway.
The main purpose of the tour was to secure and strengthen the support of local officials for a new funding deal between Victoria and Ottawa. Kitimat Alderman Joanne Monahan says Kitimat Council recognizes the importance of FIRDA and why we need a new agreement.
We would hope that we would get our share of it, because we feel that we have some of the most valuable forest area within our province.
And Monahan is optimistic about the BC government's efforts for a new agreement, feeling that Victoria will be successful.
I hope so. I would really hope so, because it's going to be a great boon to our area. As our forest minister said today, agriculture produces a crop in 90 days. Our trees produce a crop every 90 years, and I think we have to look at that resource, and we have to look after that resource.
And they must think more long-term rather than just right now.
Definitely.
Monahan's views are shared by Terrace Alderman Bob Cooper, saying the city of Terrace is also fully behind FIRDA.
I think if we continue the support that we've had and writing letters, I don't think there's any doubt that the long-term gain is there. You know, if you look at it realistically, it's just a matter of investing in the future. I think it's a very important program that we maintain it and it continues.
Do you think the public knows enough about FIRDA and its impact in this region?
I don't think they do. No, I think it would take, you know, we should have more education on the value of it. It's not just another make-work program. You know, it's actually showing results.
Dave Parker wants to increase BC's annual allowable cut from the current 72 million cubic meters a year to 100 million within 10 years. Parker says to do that, a commitment of major money is needed from both Ottawa and Victoria. He says the BC government has its financial affairs in order, which will allow the expenditure.
We can meet our obligation for our share, and it's a matter of determining with Ottawa how the program will be delivered financially by both agencies. So we have some bargaining to do.
The key to the success of a new deal will be Federal Forest Minister Frank Oberle's effort to get the Mulroney government to agree to BC's request for money. Oberle is pleased with the success of FIRDA 1 and believes we will see a FIRDA 2.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from his mind to his heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our immensity within. I'm Robert Pictou.